And I want to dive into them. I want to dive into them because DraftKings dropped the 2023 win totals, and one of these jumped out to me the most. And I want y'all to understand this. Now, brace yourself. Hey Cam, I see you popped in here, man. What's going on? Let me tell you this. If Vegas is looking at Oklahoma at a 9.5, y'all better get excited because that is a vote of confidence for Oklahoma that Vegas is like, oh, everybody's going to bet the under on them. Listen to me. I want y'all to hear me fully on this. Vegas has Oklahoma as a 9.5 in the win total. And you know everybody's hammering that under. Everybody's hammering that under. Oh, no, there's no way this staff, after going 6-7, can win 9 games.
Well, no,
I think Vegas is banking on it.
No, I think it's because they bank on Oklahoma winning 9 and probably not any more than that because Oklahoma, I think, has to win 9 this season.
No. But the thing about it is that that's what Vegas thinks that everybody is going to think too. So all of these over-unders are always set in the mindset of Vegas winning money. Their mindset is, if we think everybody's going to take the under, we're going to put it at a number where everybody's going to keep taking the under. Why? Because when Oklahoma goes over, Vegas just clint up. They clint up.
And it makes that's a lot of sense. Going for. Because I look at it and go, Oklahoma should be 5-0 before they play Texas. And then let's say you lose to Texas, you should be another 4-0. And then you go at BYU and TCU. Like, there is a really good chance OU could win 10 or 11 games. Like, because I think they must win 9 games because 9 of those wins are just super easy.
Yep. So we talked about this before when the schedule first came out, and I kept reevaluating. So looking at this, Oklahoma leaves the state 3 times this season. Well, I don't count the far south part of Oklahoma, which is North Texas, as leaving the state. That Red River ain't leaving the state. That's still Oklahoma. That's Oklahoma territory. We own that mess, right? So, but going to Kansas? Dallas, huh?
I mean, what about Kansas? Do you really count that as like a true hard road game environment? Or are you kind of like
that's a 5-hour drive, and Kansas is actually good right now. So I'm gonna say yes. Lawrence it's a trek. You got Lawrence, you got BYU. So you'll be going out there to Provo, Utah. You're going to Cincinnati, and then you go to Dallas. That's your 4 traveling out of the state. Besides that, the only other road games, Oklahoma State, TU, in the state of Oklahoma. We leave 4 times. That's what you want. That is perfect. So let's look at this. Let's look at these over-unders. And so I wanted to make sure I tell y'all why, because y'all already know we're saying over on Oklahoma, because if Vegas wants y'all to bet that under, it's a trap, man. That's a trap number. PG, that is a trap. That is the biggest trap I've ever seen out of Vegas. If they would have put Oklahoma at 7.5, I would have been like, okay, that's a fair number to put them at after last season and still trying to figure things out. That's a fair number. 8, I would have thought 8 was fair. 8.5, that's when the questions would have came out of me like, oh no, there's something else going here. But they threw them at 9.5. Vegas is playing y'all. Just FYI, that's how Vegas works. They're about making money. They don't have no alliances with teams. They're about that check. And if they know they can bait you into doing something, they're going to do it. So let's start off with this one. All right, PG, Texas, 9.5. I know you're going to say under, right?
No, I'm going to take the over.
Smart man.
I think Texas could go undefeated or only lose 1 game this season. I think Texas is that good.
I looked at it as well. And of course, when I made my short for fun on my initial, I got them under. But I think Texas is probably going to go over. Now, because I think Texas wins 10 games this season.
I think
they have 3 losses.
Oklahoma in that championship game.
Agreed. I think it's going to be Texas versus Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship. Hence
Which
why you see the
honestly,
big gap in
if
talent.
you're the Big 12, you are so rooting for that to happen. I mean,
Oh my
you are
God.
rooting for an undefeated Texas playing a one-loss Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game because that will be one of the biggest games of the year. And Texas is playing freaking Alabama.
Yep. Yep. And so on this one, what if Oklahoma goes 7-5 or worse? Then
Then you
Vegas
start
loses
having
a ton of money. Vegas loses a ton of money. And they're not gonna go for that. Vegas knows that they're not gonna lose any money on this one. It's weird. 9.5 is too high of a number. That's why everybody's gonna bet the under, and it's dumb to go bet the under. So I said, look at this Texas schedule. I'm giving them losses to Alabama. I'm I'm tossing up the Red River. It's a toss up for me because I do not know what Quinn's going to look like in that game. I don't know what Quinn's going to look like this season. But the Oklahoma, because they don't even leave the state of Texas.
Not for a while.
Except for going to Ames. They go to Ames, Iowa, and Alabama. They travel 2 times out of the state.
And Bama, they probably lose because that's a night game in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, that's gonna be a toughie. I'm gonna say Bama pulls that one out. You know what? Let me scale that back. I think they go win in Tuscaloosa. I think they lose to Baylor, and I think they lose at Houston. And I say that because the Houston games is they got a bye in between there, so that may not happen. But I can see them traveling to Baylor and losing, and I could see them traveling to Ames, Iowa, and losing.
No, they're not losing to Iowa.
Iowa State? You don't think they lose Iowa State?
I think the only game Texas drops is to Bama. And I think those expectations for Texas are very realistic because I mean, okay, at Texas and Oklahoma, and I only say Oklahoma because it doesn't matter how good or how bad the team was the year before or they are that year. That game's always a toss-up. But I mean, their schedule's I think their schedule is almost as a cupcake schedule as Oklahoma's because you have BYU and TCU is not going to be that good this year. BYU, I would actually take the over on 5.5. Like, I'm actually looking at this considering potentially betting on this because I didn't realize it's 5.5. And I think Keaton Slovis gets them to at least 6 or 7 wins. But I mean, I look at the schedule and I go, dang, Texas, really? Like, this was their schedule? I thought it was a little harder than this.
Right. No, I agree. I don't disagree with you with that. They have a very cupcake-ish schedule. And that's
they're in. The reason why I think they're going to be so good this season is because they are putting themselves in such a great position at the quarterback position. Like, let's say Quinn's bad. All right, you're going to Malik Murphy now. Oh, well, Malik Murphy's hurt. Well, you've also got Arch Manning, who hopefully by midseason actually looks like he's something. Otherwise, Texas might have some issues with that pick from the class because they probably could have got somebody else that was a little bit better. So, no, I think with that O-line, I think Texas is going to be pretty dominant this year, unfortunately.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay, so Oklahoma, we got us at 9.5. I'm taking the over. We should get about 10 wins. I see 3 losses. If there's losses, I see 3. If I was to be just objective, non-fan, 3. I'm gonna say if I was to have to pick them, I'd pick the Texas game. I would pick at BYU. I only pick at BYU because of the time of the year. It feels like a trap game. It's one of those that we would overlook them going against TCU, even though we should not be looking at TCU as a big game, but probably would. And if I was to give a third loss, I would say us going to Lawrence, Kansas after playing UCF at home. I think UCF is going to be good.
We ain't losing to Kansas at Kansas.
I'm just saying. If Jalen Daniels is healthy this season, I think that they'll be prepared for a change. I'm just being objective. I'm not saying it will. If I had to pick losses, I'm picking that one.